Welcome back to The Wellness Effect. Click on that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of our insightful discussions. Continuing our discussion around mental health, we get some food for thought on the matter with our guest, Mbali Mapholi. Welcome, Mbali.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today.
Pleasure to have you again.
Yeah.
So, how much impact does diet, exercise have on our mental health?
There's a huge impact. Our diet, so what we eat and drink every day, directly feeds the brain matter, but also it feeds to our emotions. There's certain neurotransmitters, certain endorphins that we get from eating certain foods and drinking certain things, similar to exercising. When you're at gym, whether it's the social aspect, the actual physical activity, all of those contribute to the feel-good hormones that get produced and endorphins as well that get released. So it's fantastic. Like the World Health Organization encourages us to have about 150 minutes of structured physical activity every day. And I think it goes with all the nutritional guidelines that we have for eating plenty of fruits and vegetables, making sure we're getting enough protein, making sure we're getting enough high fiber carbohydrates, getting enough healthy fats, because all of that directly contributes to good mental health.
So, Mbali, you spoke about certain foods giving you kind of that feel-good hormone. How come broccoli doesn't give me that and chocolate does?
Well, chocolate does for firstly nostalgia. You've eaten it and have had that feel good sort of feeling.
Yeah.
So then it will definitely be the case. But you haven't really had it with broccoli. But also just biologically, antioxidants and fiber in combination of all of those, that especially if it's like obviously the higher the cacao, the better.
Yeah.
And they do trigger certain feel good hormones that we need. And then you feel fuzzy inside. And that is something that sometimes when, as adults, we eat chocolate, we feel guilty when we feel those feel good hormones being released, and you feel like, oof, I'm doing like a little shimmy.
Yeah.
But it's sometimes something we shouldn't be scared of, because biologically, sometimes, especially for women during certain times of the month, we might really be needing that chocolate to just give us those endorphins or those neurotransmitters, serotonin as well, that come from that just bite of chocolate.
So does that mean, Bali, I can eat chocolate every day
You could eat
that I
chocolate every day.
feel bad? Or every day, every time I'm like having a low day, does
Yeah.
it mean I should
Oh, yeah.
should I go towards those foods that give me that endorphin? Is it sustainable?
I think there it's a matter of asking yourself, have you eaten? Have you eaten foods that are giving you nourishment for the day, the nutrients that you need? Because sometimes you find that you are more drawn to those foods that you know they're going to give you that feel good feeling, but maybe it's just you're hungry. So if you've eaten, you didn't skip lunch, you've eaten enough, but you still want just a single sort of portion of chocolate or whatever quantity you want, you could. I think where it becomes a little bit tricky is because, as I said, adults are made to feel guilty for enjoying food, and you can enjoy food and still eat sort of healthy and get the nutrients that you need. If, for example, after dinner, you're a person who needs like a little dessert
Yes.
or a little something to just as a pick-me-up, you can definitely do that in the right quantity and as part of your overall diet. It won't make or break your diet. It can just add in that little fun that we need. Yeah.
So it's a matter of moderation.
Essentially, I think the word moderation has been sort of misused because dietitians are thought to just say moderation. But I look at it as there are certain foods that give us nutrients, but there are foods that give us the fun, the nostalgia that sort of sometimes we need. It's not all the
Yes.
foods that we must eat that have to be nutritious, but at the same time, it's not all the foods that are fun.
Yes.
So it's just finding moderation, but striking that balance between the foods and saying, some people even say 80% of what you eat should be for nourishment and maybe 20% can be for fun. So if you look at it like that, you can have half a plate of veggies for your lunch and then have a portion of chocolate.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
You live longer by doing that anyway. Not that I love chocolate, but it's just when you are deprived of certain foods that you really love. And I mean, we've had advices in the past where they will say, if you're craving chocolate, have an apple. Even if you eat an apple, if you're really craving chocolate, you'll still want to eat chocolate. So I think it's just, can I have both? Can you have both an apple and chocolate? What I like to do is there's like, it's like a snack box type of, a snack, board. or
Yes.
tray where there is a slices of apple, there is a tablespoon of peanut butter, there is a couple of blocks of chocolate, there is a handful of nuts. There, it's
Mm,
that type of situation
moderation.
where there is everything that
Yes.
makes me happy, fun, food, nourishment in one go.
Okay.
Yeah.
And maybe let's talk about the gut to brain relationship.
Yeah.
And what is the role of diet in this relationship?
So firstly, there's that physical nerve that connects our brain to our gut. It's called the vagus nerve. And so information gets transported or transmitted every time, like firing up all the time. And people even say the gut is a second brain for that reason.
Yes.
But also, there is the gut brain axis, which is powered by trillions of bacteria. And these are probiotics, the good bacteria. So, if we feed the good bacteria in our gut,
Yes.
we not only support good gut health, but we in turn support good mental health.
Sure.
So by feeding the good bacteria, giving them enough fiber, making sure that they are alive and they are healthy, you are then supporting your mental health. You hear about butterflies, feeling like, oof, all fuzzy inside. Yes, maybe it is a myth, but also it is a thing because of that connection that we have between the two. So how we do it with the diet, obviously what you eat, certain foods tend to erode the good bacteria, and in turn, that can affect your mental health. But as I said, certain foods really nourish the good bacteria. And the stronger is your good bacteria, the better is your mental health.
Sure.
We even see it in cases, where there is an existing gut-related disease, like irritable bowel syndrome,
Yes.
IBS, that people who struggle with IBS tend to also struggle with anxiety or some depression. It's a long shot at it, but it is linked that it's because over time they are struggling with gut related issues anyway. And then they've got like that anxiety going on because of that.
Wow, that's really insightful. I struggled with IBS, and as soon as my gut was sorted,
Yeah.
I
You feel
was
better.
feel
Yeah.
much better, less
Yeah.
anxious.
So there is obviously clinically, and psychologists will tell you, there is clinical depression and clinical anxiety, but sometimes we see that just like anxiousness, it comes from the fact that you've got poor gut health. We see it in skin health, we see it in immunity, that if your gut is just a bit shaky, it affects how you recover from common colds and flu. It affects your skin health, same with mental health as well. Yeah.
So, how can someone develop a positive view towards food and exercise if they've struggled with eating disorders?
Eating disorders are a very sensitive issue for the cases of it's not necessarily always about that they have a sort of a bad relationship with food, but oftentimes eating disorders are rooted in really emotional challenges. So I always say if you are struggling or have struggled with eating disorders, but you constantly are just going back and forth, it's always advisable to have, a psychologist or a psychiatrist as part of your team. If I get somebody like that in my practice, I always refer them to a psychologist because I can say eat this, eat that, don't eat that, but then there is more rooted issues around food.
Yes.
But if an adult is struggling with disordered eating, where it's not really a full on diagnosed eating disorder, but it's just their view of food, sometimes it's fine to just switch off all the noise around diets and unfollow people and do that whole
Yes.
decluttering there, and then start to learn food in its simplest of terms. And I don't know, maybe it's because I'm privileged that I got to sort of understand food, learning, studying dietetics, but also in my line of work. But I find that most adults think it's difficult, and maybe it is, but maybe it's also not. It's just us just doing away with all the complications and just looking for those simple things and
Yes.
just defining nutrition as simple as we can.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that.
In that way, we then slowly, it's not easy, but slowly start to just unlearn certain behaviors and what we say around food. If, for example, we are out eating and you say to me, "Oh, are you going to go for seconds?" We start learning that that's not maybe a good way of of saying it. Maybe you must say that, "Oh, it must have been really good. The food must have been really good."
Yes.
But as soon as you say, "Oh, you're going to go for seconds," it's judgmental. So it's within ourselves, but also just as a society.
That's good. It's really around changing the language,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
often changes perceptions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think also it extends to children. you know, when you start saying, eat your food and then you're going to get that, there's that sort of narrative that, oh, because I'm getting a cupcake as a reward, it means a cupcake is better than broccoli in a sense of it being superior. But if everything is just put in front of a child and let them choose what they want, I know parents always come for me for that approach, but it works if we look at
Yeah.
it like children are very smart. Like I think
Yes.
we underestimate them, but as soon as they are given options, they will choose options. So with us as adults, we need to do the same. Give ourselves, give us